Welcome back to Homeschool Journey 101. I'm Helen Hagan, and my friend Renee Capuano will be speaking later. We realized after we did basic tips in our introduction that probably we should have sort of outlined really quickly some sort of steps, prerequisite steps before you get started, just in case they weren't obvious to people. The first thing is, although we really want to encourage people to homeschooling as much as possible. Over the years of counseling people in homeschool groups for 25 years, one problem that we find that keeps happening over and over again is if people decide to start homeschooling and both spouses aren't just pretty much okay with it's really much harder to get off and going, and much more of an uphill climb if one spouse is really against it. So try to get to the point where your spouse is at least pretty much on board. And the next step is if you already are starting homeschooling from the very beginning where your children are young, you can start talking to them about the fact that that's what's going to happen for them. You can start sort of doing all the best propaganda to help them realize that this is a joyful part of what's going to happen to them, so that when it is time to go to kindergarten, they realized all along that their kindergarten is going to be a really special, wonderful day at their own home. If you are deciding to homeschool by taking your children out of a sort of traditional school or a private school, be really cautious about how you go about that. You'll want to talk through it with your children and make sure that your children understand what is going on. But we would really caution you against making big pronouncements to your school or your community of friends until you yourself are sure it's going to happen. Don't burn any bridges, and just kind of give yourself time to be thinking through that before you have to answer a lot of questions from your child's teacher or your school district or Aunt Martha, like whatever. In that time that you're kind of giving yourself as you're thinking through it, sort of start to formulate a plan. How will your homeschool look? What kinds of curriculums do you think you might do? You can research by talking to different people, research online, but just start to think through how this will be. Are you pretty unattracted to unschooling, or do you love unschooling? When you look at Montessori, do you think like, yes, this is what I want to do? Or do you find yourself thinking, I really want a program where it's all scripted? Just start to think through, like, how is it going to look? Like, what do you think you might be doing? And as a piece of that, research what's available in your community. So what homeschool groups are out there? And this is more important than you think, first of all, because homeschool groups fill up faster than you might think. Some of them try not to be offended, but will want to interview you. I know for a lot of people that's a real shocker, but you'll be working really closely with these people, and so it's kind of protecting both you and them. Like, is this going to be a really good fit for you? And again, a piece of that is, I like these people, I like their philosophy, but a piece of that is, are they actually offering the things that I'm going to need help with? If you really need math, maybe you can find that another place. Maybe you'll find an online math tutor, and so then it's fine if your homeschool group is really like lots of creative projects. But maybe you need a homeschool group that will do math and science for you. So be thinking about where you're going to fit in, is available for you, so that you're putting in these pieces of how you're going to homeschool. Maybe your child loves the violin and you need to find an orchestra to sort of help bridge into homeschooling, so that when you're actually presenting it to the people that you love and know, whether it's at your child's school or your outside community, you have a plan. You're saying, well, I'm homeschooling, and this is my general idea. This is what I'm kind of thinking is going to happen. Once you kind of have that in place and you're pretty sure what you want to do, You probably do want to put a deposit on a homeschool group that you love to make sure that you won't find yourself to do it. Your next step is going to be to contact a group that all homeschoolers have heard of, but if you haven't homeschooled, you may have never heard anything about them. And that is the Homeschool Legal Defense League. And HSLDA is, again, they don't even know I'm making this video. This is not a paid advertisement or anything, but it's just a really great resource for homeschoolers. So first of all, if you find yourself in any legal trouble or there's extra educational things that you need to know about, they're a really great resource. And virtually no one, I can't even think of anybody I know that has got in trouble homeschooling, but it's just really great that you've got that backup in case you're a person who does find themselves in an adversarial relationship with the school district, because that's the next piece. Your next thing is going to be, in order to legally homeschool, is to contact your school district. Rules vary so much from state to state that it's just not even worth it for us to go through them. But just to give you an idea, I homeschooled in Michigan for a decade, and there's virtually no rules in Michigan, like almost nothing. And I moved to New York where there are many rules. It doesn't mean that it's impossible or even very difficult. It's just that you'll have to know what those rules are. So for example, in New York, you'll have to do a certain amount of testing. You'll have to send in some reports. And again, these are not difficult things, but you do need to know ahead of time what to do. Some school districts in New York even want you to notify them in writing before the next year. So you'll want to find out what it is that's necessary. And so when you go in, you may want to go in person and introduce yourself, but you may just want to write a letter. I'm notifying you that I plan to homeschool, and you'll wait for them to send you back whatever requirements. Sometimes you don't hear back really quickly, and you may want to send a second letter or call. It's really essential that you, in your communications with your school district, that you are pleasant and professional. You really want to, represent homeschooling well, but you also want to make sure that you're keeping those lines of communications open, and that things will just flow smoothly from there. So after you have done all these steps, again, if you are you're homeschooling your child all the way through, then you're back to that thing where you want to plan a special event to sort of celebrate that we are starting preschool or we are starting kindergarten as a homeschool family if your child has never gone to school. But if your child has been in a private school or public school, you're going to want to then let that school know, sometime in the summer that you won't be returning, so that they know, okay, that's what's happened. They homeschooled and they won't be looking for you the next year. But again, when it is your first day of homeschooling, however old your child is, plan some kind of special celebration so that it is, marked with this joyful start, so that they are looking forward to that first day. Maybe that first day is that you're going on a fun field trip and you're going to have a cake that morning, but really start joyfully so that this experience is marked with hooray, not like, okay, here we started, because it's going to be a big shift in your life. Whether you enter as a preschooler or you enter when you're in fourth grade, and you want to begin it with that joy that's going to keep being for your whole family. Renee, what do you think?
And just to recap these high points here, the first thing you want to do is get your family on board. That is so important, that you all start off on the right foot, that everyone understands what it means to homeschool. And as much as possible, you get as many of your family members on board, particularly your spouse and your children. And then research your plan and have that plan in place before you start making announcements to the school district or to anyone else. Research that plan so you know what you're going to be doing before you start making big changes in your life. And then look for those other homeschoolers in your area. Find a homeschool group. Research the different homeschool options. Research the different programs that cater to homeschoolers. And when you find those homeschoolers, they're going to be a wonderful source of information and support and help to you. And you want to do that early because they can give you great advice and they can help you meet any deadlines for registration in any homeschool programs that you may be looking at. You don't want to miss those registration deadlines. You want to reserve your spot and you want to get yourself plugged into that community. It's an open community. It's a healthy and vibrant community, and they're going to want to help you, the homeschoolers in your area. And then you want to research the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. Go to their website. It's a treasure of great information for homeschoolers across the country. And they provide support and information. You can get news updates on what's going on with homeschooling around the country, and then consider joining. They offer a number of benefits to their members, and many of us have joined the HSLDA. And then after you have all of these things in place, then you can notify your school district. Your plan is set up. You have all these pieces of the puzzle, and you're ready to start homeschooling.
Thanks for listening. Hopefully that just filled in a little piece that we were worried hadn't quite been covered well. Hope to see you in one of our other videos. If you liked our video, please give us a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.